What are the things that you need to know to pass that home inspection with flying colors? We're about to put that house on the market. Let's make sure that we're prepared and know what we're getting ourselves into when a buyer gets a home inspection. Hey, my name is Dan Inman, your local realtor and guide, and you're watching the Living in Coastal Virginia channel. While home buyers are about as individual homes are, they have at least one thing in common. They want to know what they are buying, and what they're buying is as good as what appears to be on the surface. Will the roof end up leaking? Is the wiring safe? Does the plumbing have a leak? Are there creepy crawlies in the crawl space that shouldn't be there? These and other questions are what buyers are going to be asking and seeking a professional's opinion on your home. According to industry experts, there are about 33 common problems that come up on home inspections, and we're going to cover the top 11 today in this video. And if not caught early or potentially dealt before even the listing, could end up costing you dearly in negotiation, or maybe make that contract fall through. And we all know that a house that goes back on the market, every buyer on the planet sees that it went back on the market, it's sitting for a couple of days and go, what is wrong with it? In some cases, and arguably most cases, doing a professional pre-inspection before going on market could end up saving you tens of thousands of dollars. It also could keep you from having little things that could come and turn into big things. Things like mold, for instance, if unchecked or unmitigated over a period of time, become worse and worse. And when you're about to put your house on the market, you don't want any of these things popping up or creeping up and costing you the sale of your home. Now, first on the list here is probably the biggest enemy of anything that has to do with homes, and that is water. When it comes to water being pumped actively into the house, so your house's plumbing, is the first thing that we should be paying attention to. There's really two ways that this manifests: leaking and clogging. A professional inspector is going to be going underneath the house to see if there's any active leaks, if there's anything on the woods that show wood stain. They're probably going to do a little bit of like pressure testing and making sure all the faucets are turned on and running them for a period of time. Now, again, on the pressurized side, they're going to be looking for active little pin leaks. And on the water that's being flushed away from the home, we're going to be making sure that there's no active leaks. So typically they leave those faucets on for a period of time and flush all the toilets and run all of the faucets that are in the showers and baths. One of the common telltale items that could be a problem in your home is if when you first turn on the faucet and the water comes out a little bit brown, it could mean that those galvanized or metal pipes are rusting over time and could be at the end of their life cycle, or you are looking at potential future problems, or even just the quality of water that you will be ingesting. Second, we're going to look at is a damp or wet basement. Now, we don't actually have a ton of those here in the Tidewater, coastal Virginia area, but if you have a home that was built older, or you're in an area that is far enough above the water table, it's possible that you could have one. But this would still apply even with places that have large crawl spaces. Inspectors are going to be looking for a white powdery mineral substance coming off of the brick or the concrete masonry unit blocks that are off the bottom of your property to see if there is water issues that are constantly creeping up. That is when the water is basically being leached out and it's leaching the minerals out of the brick or the block, and that could be a sign of consistent water problems. Not to mention that a mildew odor that could be from consistent water issues, one, is almost impossible to eliminate without actually eliminating the water source, and it's something that the inspector is going to be paying attention to. It could cost you $200 to $1,000 or more to seal a crack in that basement wall or address the issues from water intrusion. Not to mention that if you have consistent water issues, adding a sump pump could cost you anywhere between $700 to $1,000 or more, depending on the size and the well that's needed to be dug. Complete waterproofing of a basement or crawl space easily could creep up into the $5,000, $10,000, or even $20,000 range. Getting a professional termite moisture inspection before putting the house on the market could set you up for success, especially if you have a clear termite moisture letter that you get to provide to any potential buyers coming through to give them a vote of confidence on your home. Number 3 on the list here is going to be inadequate or improper wiring. Your home should have a minimum of 100 amp service supplied, and it should be easily and clearly marked. Wire should be copper. Aluminum and knob and tube is less than ideal, and the more that's in the home, the more risk that the buyer feels like they're taking on, and some insurance policies or insurance companies won't even cover those now. Home inspectors will be looking for octopus plugs and also inadequate amperage per the service line. They want to make sure that the outlets don't have scorching or black marking to make sure that there's not loose connections there or there is anything that's a potential fire hazard. Again, a professional pre-inspection here may be a lifesaver and could actually keep you from having a contract that falls through. because of this. Number 4 is going to be poor heating and air circulation and or system. You want to make sure that the system, especially if it's a little bit older, is operating properly. A good way to do this is to have the inspector go through and take a thermal reading of the intake and output temperatures, and there wants to be a large enough delta, which means a difference between those two temperatures, to make sure that the age and the size of the system is pumping out sufficiently cold or hot air. If this is done before you go on the market, then if there's any deficiency or repair that's needed, you can address that before going on the market. I can tell you from personal experience that nearly every buyer on the planet typically wants to reduce the purchase price or get a credit to replace the system, rather than having a fully functioning system before you actually go on the market. One of the things that actually can be found that can be very scary here is a cracked heat exchange. And if you don't have proper carbon monoxide detectors throughout the home, you could be pumping this deadly gas into your home with an older one that is cracked or improperly maintained. These heat exchangers must be replaced. They typically cannot be repaired, and you would find this in a very good home inspector or a HVAC inspection that is very thorough. Next on the list is going to be roofing problems, and this could be a variety of issues, and one that could be very damaging to the home. Can cause from a variety of reasons, including just age and deterioration, or physical damage, including storms, tornadoes, hurricanes, or hail. If you have leaks or issues with downspouts or gutters, this is right at the seam of where the roof meets the walls, and if there's an issue here, you could have water running down your walls without actually knowing it for a prolonged period of time. A proper inspection will catch most of this before you actually go on market, and again, could save you a lot of money or keep that deal from falling through. Next on the list is going to be damp attic spaces. Aside from the basement, attics actually can have moisture problems too. This could be due to improper ventilation or moisture barriers throughout the space. Excess moisture or water issues in the attic can prematurely wear any of the materials that are in that space and could cause major like health air quality issues. If you have anybody in the house that has asthma or breathing problems, this could be a major deal. Number 7 is going to be rotting wood. And this is a big one for FHA and VA loans in particular, because anything that is found that have chipping or peeling paint or rotting wood, most of the time the VA appraiser or inspector is going to require this to be fixed prior to the loan being funded. Many times the building inspector or home inspector will go around with basically a little metal prick and go around the baseboards and around the outside to see if it actually punches through. So this is not just usually a visual inspection. They are actually going to see if there's rotted wood behind that paint. I will say that I have seen my inspector do this many times. Sometimes a fresh coat of paint kind of can come across that someone is hiding something. I've seen this particularly true within flippers, and home inspectors are extra careful here, so make sure that when you're evaluating these things that you're actually going through and poking and prodding to make sure there's no rotten wood behind the paint. Number 8 is going to be masonry work. Now this can manifest in several different ways. This could be chipping and cracking of mortar joints around windows and doors. Another very common one is the front steps. If you don't have a gutter across that front facing, all the water that comes off the roof is hitting those steps and will degrade those mortar joints, which could be a safety hazard, because if any of those bricks comes loose as someone's climbing the steps, that's a tripping hazard and a fall hazard. Catching these things early can be very important, especially when it comes to chimneys. If you catch it earlier in the process, many times it can be repaired or fixed, but if you catch it too late in the process, that chimney actually will have to be torn down and rebuilt, which is far more expensive. Number 9 is going to be an unsafe or overused electrical circuit. This is a little bit different than the previous one. Effectively, when homes were originally built, they were built for a certain amount of electrical use. As we've grown in technology and larger families, sometimes circuits get overused. Home inspectors know this. They're going to go through and make sure that the electrical load that's placed on the circuit is the proper amount. And going through and replacing an entire amp service could be quite costly. To actually go through and create an entire new electrical system, which means replacing the panel box, could be $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 if the service isn't large enough for the home and presents a major fire hazard. Number 10 is a really common one, and I see this all the time, is inadequate safety features. Now you may think this may just be security. As much as people, appreciate the new Ring features that are out there, this actually mostly comes down to fire alarms and carbon monoxide detectors. You want to make sure that all the major spaces have one. Any place that is a bedroom has one, and these are just going to be basic ones that are throughout the house. Bulk pack at Home Depot, maybe they're $10 a piece. highly recommend go ahead and getting these. You may not think it's a big issue to buyers, but many home buyers today are very safety conscious. Another one that is uncommon that people don't really think about is there's these old deadbolts where you had a key for the outside and the inside. This is actually a major fire safety issue. If you're in the middle of a fire and you're trying to get out of the house, trying to find a key to unlock the deadbolt from the inside is a big problem. VA loans, or the inspector, I've actually found that several times they will require it to be changed before they actually approve the VA appraisal. The last one here is just gonna be major structural and foundation problems. It's not uncommon for a beam to crack or a joist to come loose or some footing that was improperly placed. A lot of times the termite moisture guy is gonna find it, sometimes the home inspector guy is gonna find it. These could be major issues if unaddressed over a long period of time. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say this again, picking out the right person to help represent you in the sale of your home that's gonna pay for a professional pre-inspection, this guy, will help you save thousands and thousands of dollars. I can tell you from a multitude of experience that doing a pre-inspection, it costs, yes, $300, $400, $500, $600 to do it. Many times your listing agent will pay for this as a added service. Again, that's what we do here at Inman Home Services. But again, it will save you a ton of money and a lot of heartache, potentially in a market that we're in where you're getting multiple offers. If you have to go back on market and try to get under contract, you could legitimately, and I know Sean's gonna laugh at me when I say tens of thousands, but it really could come down to tens of thousands of dollars if you end up having to go back on market. Hey, if you're finding this information helpful and you need guidance on how to make sure that your home goes on the market and sells for the most amount of money, that's what we do here. My name is Inman. I'm a local realtor and guide when it comes to the coastal Virginia area. If you want a free evaluation, totally obligation free, to see what your home could sell for and the little things that make it sell for the most amount of money, you can reach out to us down below in the contact information. And again, 100% obligation free, no obligation to list whatsoever, and we can help guide you through that process. In the infinite wisdom of the YouTube algorithms, it thinks that you would like this video next.